In 1979, a space station known as Skyla falls out of orbit. During its mission, the station had been home to hundreds of scientific experiments. Most of the debris burns up on re-entry, but some pieces crash onto Earth. NASA believes they've recovered every piece of the space station. However, they're wrong. In the present day in Rome, NASA scientist Dr. Martins receives an urgent call from a NASA Space Biosciences research station. A man is desperately asking for her. When the call is transferred to him, he tells Dr. Martins that something came out of a NASA tank in the area and has killed everyone. He's the only survivor. As he tries to explain further, the call suddenly ends. 27 hours later, Dr. Martins arrives at the location in a remote desert area. She's joined by research agent Robert and a military companion named Romano. Together they try to decipher how the NASA tank ended up in this desolate place. Romano points out that the broken space station fell into the ocean years ago. But Martins clarifies that while some of the debris did go into the ocean, some tanks were discovered on land near this area. Martins explains what happened. Some guy found the tank, picked it up, and put it in front of his house so people would pay to see it, treating it like a roadside attraction. Robert assumes it's just an empty tank. But Martins shares disturbing information. The tank contains a parasitic fungus that can adapt from one species to another, jumping hosts. After putting on their hazmat suits, the group walks carefully around the area. They find a suitcase among the debris. Looking further, Martins locates the NASA tank. Beside it is a bottle of dish soap, which leads her to conclude that the man who found the tank tried to wash it before the incident occurred, likely releasing whatever was inside. She takes a closer look using a special microscope and notices green goo on the tank's surface. With Robert's help, Martins leans in closer to examine it. She concludes that the parasite is heterotrophic in nature, meaning it feeds on other organisms to survive. At that moment, a little of the goo suddenly spews gas, which startles everyone. The driver jumps back, not noticing that some of the parasite has made its way onto the surface ground. Romano sees something alarming and calls everyone's attention to it. That's when it's revealed that the parasite has made its way onto Martins's boot and is burrowing into her foot. As they climb to the roof of a nearby building, they're shocked to see numerous bodies scattered across the area, their guts burst open grotesquely. Robert wonders why the bodies came up to the roof. Martins explains chillingly that the parasite told them to, just like every other insect pathogen, fungus reproduces. It controls the host's brain function, meaning everything an infected person does is according to the fungus's instructions. Getting nauseous about the horrifying environment, Robert tells Martins they need to quickly collect a sample and blow up the whole area. After collecting the sample and securing it in a special briefcase, the trio prepares to leave immediately. Minutes later, Martins starts to smell something strange. She asks the others if they smell it too, but they point out that with the hazmat suits they're wearing, it's impossible to smell anything. A few minutes later, Dr. Martins starts to get violently sick. She spews green goo from her mouth inside her helmet. Meanwhile, inside her body, the parasite spreads rapidly throughout her system, taking over completely. With the parasite now in control, Dr. Martins drops the briefcase and rushes to the car, intending to drive into the city and spread the infection. Seeing that she's already infected, Romano pulls out her gun and warns the doctor to stop. Martins nearly crushes Romano with the vehicle, but Robert saves her, ending up with a broken back from the impact. Martins steps out of the car and grabs Romano's gun. Romano tackles her, and after an intense struggle, Martins takes control of the weapon. She's about to shoot Romano when something remarkable happens. Martins points the gun at herself instead and ends her own misery, fighting the parasite's control just long enough to prevent spreading the infection. Later, the military picks up the sample and destroys the entire contaminated area with explosives. The military then transports the sample to Kansas City, to a U.S. military defense facility. The fungus is placed in a special secure containment unit and locked away deep underground. Years pass. The underground facility is eventually abandoned and decommissioned by the government. It's put up for sale. In the present day, the bunker has been converted into a storage unit facility. A security employee named Travis, who everyone calls Tea-Cake, arrives for his shift. His boss immediately approaches him about some shady dealings, wanting Travis to be involved. But Travis firmly refuses, saying he wants to stay clean and doesn't want to get into any trouble. He's on parole and needs to keep his record spotless. Disappointed, the boss tells Travis he'll return later to pick up some items he's kept to sell to shady dealers. In the meantime, Travis should expect a new colleague arriving for the evening shift. Later that evening, an elderly woman comes to the facility asking to visit her storage unit. Today is her anniversary, she explains. Travis helps her to the elevator. Afterwards, the lady is shown looking at a photograph of her late husband. She kisses the picture and wishes him a happy anniversary. She considers ending her own life but changes her mind, deciding she'll take a nap first before making any final decisions. Meanwhile, Travis listens to a self-help podcast when he hears strange noises, the same beeping sounds his boss had warned him about earlier. He goes to investigate. Seeing the new colleague through the security camera, he calls her attention and asks if she hears anything unusual. The woman walks around the storage unit while listening closely before concluding that she doesn't hear anything. Travis starts chatting with her, and she comments that he's very talkative. She introduces herself as Naomi. While the room is quiet, both of them suddenly hear the same beeping noise. Excited to solve the mystery, they decide to investigate together. The duo learns that the beeping sound is coming from behind a wall. They decide to take down the frame covering the space and smash a hole through the wall to access whatever's behind it. Travis hesitates, he doesn't want to go through with his plan. At that moment, Naomi receives a call from her boyfriend, but she refuses to answer. She comments that their relationship isn't progressing, so she doesn't want to deal with him right now. Naomi still wants to proceed with breaking through the wall, but Travis resists. He's on parole and desperately needs to keep this job, but Naomi makes a pleading baby face and begs Travis to go get a hammer. Travis reluctantly agrees. Meanwhile, in North Carolina, Robert receives an urgent call from the DTRA, Defense Threat Reduction Agency. They inform him about a temperature breach at the decommissioned government facility in Kansas City. They need his expertise to investigate what's happening. Robert immediately has a terrible idea of what's occurring. He asks the officer to provide everything on his equipment list to tackle the problem immediately. However, the officer, a woman named Abigail, says she can't authorize that without clearance from higher-ups. Robert calms himself and asks her name. When she says it's Abigail, he tells her to get clearance from Gordon specifically. He reminds Abigail of her oath to protect the country, emphasizing that this is a high-level threat that needs immediate action. Back at the storage facility, Travis and Naomi have successfully smashed through the wall. They discover the beeping noise is coming from a hidden self-storage unit, part of the old military facility. Looking around for where to turn off the alarm, Naomi realizes there are other storage units deeper underground. That's where they need to go to shut off the sound. Naomi is excited to explore. This is her only chance to do something adventurous. They both take the elevator down to the abandoned facility. Outside the building, Naomi's boyfriend Nick arrives in his car. There's a gun on the passenger seat beside him. He calls Naomi's phone but gets sent to voicemail. He starts apologizing for something he did, saying he couldn't talk to her properly and that's why he came to her workplace. At that moment, Nick notices something moving in his car trunk. He cautiously steps out and goes to check what's causing the noise. As soon as he opens the trunk, a cat jumps out violently. Its face looks half-eaten and grotesque. After spewing some green goo, the infected cat makes its way to a nearby antenna and deliberately plunges its head onto the spike. A few seconds later, the cat's body explodes, spewing nasty chunks onto Nick's face and onto some animals in the surrounding area. Back underground, Travis and Naomi make it to a special access unit where the beeping sound originated. Looking around the sealed room, they notice something horrifying. A bunch of rats tied together by their tails, with a fungus wrapped around their bodies, forming what's known as a rat king. Travis says he can't handle this disturbing experience anymore and wants to leave immediately. Naomi agrees, and they both head back toward the elevator. While on a plane to Kansas City, Robert receives a call from Abigail. She tells him she wasn't able to remove him from the official log like he requested, and she couldn't reach Gordon either, because Gordon died 2 years ago. However, the mission is now under the command of a new lieutenant named Jaribik. The man tells Robert that the facility was properly contained and sealed off years ago. But Robert argues that a change in temperature has likely caused the containment pipes to weaken, which could allow the deadly fungus to escape into the environment. Jaribik doesn't believe Robert's claims but still allows him to proceed with the mission as a tribute to their old friend Gordon. It's clear that Robert's relationship with Lieutenant Jaribik is sour. They insult each other at every opportunity. Abigail sees that Jaribik won't be helpful, so she uses her personal phone to call Robert privately. Robert tells her that Jaribik and the people in power don't understand how dangerous the parasite truly is. That's why he needs her help to do what must be done. He instructs her to contact Romano and provides a list of items he'll need, especially something called Item 7. Back at the storage facility, Naomi and Travis make their way out of the underground lab. They suddenly encounter a deer standing in the hallway, staring at them motionlessly. When they look closer, they watch in confusion as the deer calmly steps into the elevator. The film shows how the parasite managed to escape its containment. 2 years ago, the fungus spreads through its storage unit and breaks out through a small glass opening in the facility. Hours ago, the fungus came into contact with a cockroach, taking over its entire system. With the fungus in control, the infected roach crawled through holes in the facility and made its way outside. Naomi's boyfriend Nick accidentally stepped on the infected roach with his car tire. The fungus then crawled through the tire and into the trunk where a dead cat was lying, infecting it. Back in the present, Travis thinks they should immediately call the DTRA and evacuate the building. Suddenly, the deer turns around and stares directly at them. Then it charges straight toward them at full speed. Thankfully, Naomi pulls Travis out of the way just before the deer's body violently explodes, spraying fungal matter everywhere. Minutes later, Naomi's boyfriend Nick shows up, looking extremely sick. His skin is pale, and he's clearly not himself anymore. He approaches Naomi and tells her to open her mouth so he can vomit into it. The parasite is trying to spread through him. Naomi refuses to comply. Nick pulls out his gun and starts shooting at them wildly, though he misses every shot. As Travis and Naomi run for safety, they suddenly encounter Nick again among the storage units. They decide to hide inside one of the storage lockers. Unfortunately, they can't close the door completely before Nick reaches them. They stay completely silent, not wanting to attract his attention, as they watch him walk around searching for them. An object suddenly falls, making noise. Before the infected Nick can investigate, Travis quickly hides the object. Travis tries desperately to shut the storage door. Nick appears immediately, so they slam the door shut, breaking off Nick's finger in the process. Arriving in Kansas City, Robert is picked up by Romano, who tells him she's acquired all the necessary equipment except item 7. They need to go to her house to get it. While Travis and Naomi wait anxiously for help to arrive, they suddenly hear loud engine noises coming from outside the building. The infected Nick also hears the sound and moves toward it. Travis gets excited and genuinely thinks it's the rescue team arriving to save them. However, it's actually just their boss who's arrived with his criminal crew to collect some stolen merchandise packages he's been storing in the facility. The boss and his crew of goons make it into the main hallway, where they immediately see the disgusting guts of the exploded deer scattered all over the floor. The goons eventually get to the storage unit containing huge amounts of stolen television sets, so they start hauling them out to load into their truck. Travis and Naomi desperately try to warn the criminal group to leave the area immediately, but it's already too late. The infected Nick starts to violently spew massive amounts of green fungal goo all over everybody in the small confined compartment. He then forcibly closes and locks the storage unit door while everyone trapped inside keeps pounding desperately on it from the inside, screaming. Nick tries going after Travis and Naomi next. Suddenly, he's shot multiple times by the elderly lady from earlier who's emerged from her unit with a handgun. Nick's body explodes violently from the gunshot trauma. The duo makes it outside the building where they're immediately intercepted by Robert, who emerges from the shadows near the entrance. After checking their heat signatures with a thermal scanner, which appear to be completely normal and not infected, Robert approaches them and takes them to his vehicle parked nearby. Inside the car, Robert offers them both handguns for protection. He gives them protective hazmat suits and tells them seriously to put them on immediately because he needs their direct help to transport a nuclear device down to the storage facility's lowest level to completely destroy the fungus. Travis thinks this plan sounds far too dangerous and risky. But Robert assures them that the explosion would happen entirely underground, destroying everything within a 100-foot radius without any atmospheric fallout or radiation reaching the surface. Promising them honorable medals from the government once they complete the mission successfully, Robert explains that all they need to do is transport the armed nuclear device to sublevel 4 and activate the timer. Once the countdown starts, they'll have approximately 9 minutes to evacuate the entire facility before the bomb detonates. As for Robert himself, he's going to stay up on the surface level to deal with any infected person that tries to escape the containment area before the bomb goes off. Robert methodically punctures all the vehicle tires in the parking lot so absolutely no one can escape the area. Naomi and Travis finally make it down to the storage unit on sublevel 4. They're absolutely shocked to see that the parasitic fungus has already escaped through another room and is spreading rapidly throughout the facility due to a broken pipe continuously leaking. Once they open the nuclear device case to arm it, they're horrified to see that the countdown timer has already started automatically and they have only about 5 minutes remaining to evacuate the entire facility instead of the 9 minutes Robert promised them. The duo makes the critical decision to ditch their heavy hazmat suits if they want any chance of making it back to the surface in time. On their way frantically running out of the building, Naomi and Travis spot another infected person blocking their path. The infected person turns around slowly to face them and asks for help in a weak voice. But Naomi shoots the infected person dead without hesitation, knowing they can't risk infection. With only 55 seconds remaining on the countdown, the group helps Robert leave the immediate blast area before he can be infected by the spreading fungus. They hurriedly drive away as fast as possible, desperately trying to get beyond the 100-foot blast radius. Unfortunately, despite their best efforts, the nuclear device detonates while they're still too close, destroying everything in the immediate area and creating a huge crater where the facility used to be. The shockwave hits their vehicle hard. The group finally makes it just outside the critical 100-foot radius where everyone appears to be relatively safe from radiation exposure, but badly shaken. The next day, a news report shows that a huge catastrophe was successfully averted and countless lives were saved. Robert is publicly recognized as a national hero for his quick thinking and decisive action. Naomi and Travis are now together as a couple, and playing happily with Naomi's 6-year-old child, suggesting they've started building a life together after surviving the nightmare at the storage facility. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe for more notifications. Until next time. See you soon.